Hello students. Today I'll be taking up the topic Introduction to Genetics 2. In the previous presentation, I talked about basic definitions related to genetics. Then we covered the historical perspective where we talked about the vapor and fluid theories, the pre-formation theories and the particular theories. And we also talked about some basics of inheritance which were known even before the work of Mendel. Today, we'll be covering post Mendelian advances, all the research work that occurred after Mendel's work, and then we'll talk about branches of genetics or the scope of genetics. Now, during 19th century and the dawn of the 20th century, genetics has received solid support from landmark investigations in the fields of cytology, embryology, biochemistry, and genetics. Let's look at those advances. In 1828, von Baer discovered the mammalian egg. In 1855, Pringsheim first saw nuclear fusion in the green algae Wucheria. The hereditary transmission through the sperm and egg became known by 1860. Ernest Haeckel noted that the sperm consisted largely of nuclear material, and he postulated that nucleus is responsible for heredity. Then Oscar Hertwig in 1875 observed the entrance of the sperm into the egg of the sea urchin. He found nucleus to play an important role in the heredity mechanism. In 1884, he identified the hereditary substance as the chromatin of the nucleus. Strasburger in 1875 discovered the chromosomes, and he, along with Kolliker and Weismann, formulated the nuclear theory of heredity. Fleming investigated the process of mitosis in 1882. Then three plant breeders, namely Hugo de Vries from Holland, Karl Correns from Germany, and Erich Schermack from Austria, rediscovered Mendel's laws in 1900. Each of them reached a similar conclusion before they knew of Mendel's work, and Mendel's original paper was republished in Flora in 1901. Bateson confirmed Mendel's work by a series of hybridization experiments, and in 1902 he published a book, The Principles of Heredity. Again in 1902, Walter S. Sutton, an American cytologist, proposed the chromosome theory of heredity in his classic paper, The Chromosomes in Heredity, in which he postulated that the newly discovered Mendel's hereditary factors were physically located on the chromosomes. This theory provided a mechanism of transmission to explain the behavior of Mendel's factors and brought together two independent disciplines, genetics and cytology, that is, study of the cell and its biology. So 1903 is called as the year of the birth of cytogenetics, the combined science of genetics and cytology. In 1909, Johanson, who previously in 1877 had coined the term gene, he formulated the genotype-phenotype concept. This was done to distinguish hereditary variations from environmental variations. According to him, the genotype of an individual represents the sum total of heredity, sum total of genes that is present in the individual, while phenotype of an individual represents the observable structural and functional properties which are produced by the interaction between the genotype and the environment. So whatever genes are present in an individual, that is its genotype, and the expression of those genes in conjunction with the environment is called as the phenotype. Then Morgan proposed in 1911 the theory of linkage. He turned the chromosome theory of inheritance into the concept of genes being located in a linear array on each chromosome. So Morgan was the first one to propose that genes are located in a linear form, one after the other, on each chromosome. He published his book, The Theory of the Gene, in 1926, and he got a Nobel Prize in 1934. Belgian cytologist F.A. Janssens in 1911 gave or described the cytological basis of crossing over, which results in development of variations. In the 1940s, there were two significant discoveries which were made concerning the chemical nature of the gene. Oswald Avery, C.M. MacLeod, and M. McCarthy, they were able to establish by experiments with pneumonia causing bacteria that genes were actually composed of specific type of nucleic acid called DNA, called deoxyribonucleic acid, and not proteins. And the second important discovery was by George Beadle and E.L. Tatum, who were studying the biochemical basis for eye color in Drosophila, the fruit fly, and they were able to show that the lack of brown color in various mutants was due to defect in one step in the biosynthesis of the brown pigment, and they proposed one gene, one enzyme hypothesis, which suggested that the action of each gene is through the synthesis of a protein, which in turn catalyzes a single chemical reaction. So they initiated a new branch of genetics which is called as biochemical genetics. Next, we move on to molecular biology. This term was first used in 1945 by William Astbury, who was referring to the study of the chemical and physical structure of biological macromolecules. The era of molecular genetics followed the discovery of DNA structure, which took place in 1953, when the fundamental unit of heredity was determined to be DNA nucleotide, and the gene was found to consist of an aggregate of nucleotides. This discovery was made by James Watson and Francis Crick, and their paper published in the British journal Nature, in which they proposed the molecular structure of DNA, that is, the molecular composition of the gene. For this purpose, Watson, Crick, and Wilkins got Nobel Prize in 1962 for the discovery of the double helix model of DNA. Next came the work of Seymour Benzer, who performed extensive investigations on the genetics of T4 bacteriophage of E. coli, and in 1955 was able to define the gene in terms of function, cistron, recombination, recon, and mutation, muton. He demonstrated that the linear array of genes on chromosomes, as shown by Morgan, was extended down to the molecule of DNA making up the chromosome. In 1961, Francois Jacob and Jacques Monod provided genetic evidence for a method of gene regulation in bacteria, which is now called as the operon model or the operon concept. During 1961 to 1968, the genetic code of DNA was solved by Nirenberg and Hargobind Khorana. Both scientists, along with the Hawley, who was the discoverer of tRNA, received the Nobel Prize in 1968. During the late 1970s, the science of genetics entered a new era, dominated by the use of recombinant DNA technology or genetic engineering to produce novel life forms not found in nature. So all of this was the post-Mendelian advances in genetics. Now, what is the scope of genetics, or what are the different branches of genetics that are there, which help us to study various fields? In recent years, the science of genetics has proliferated into numerous distinctive subdisciplines. Some of the significant branches of genetics I'll be discussing. First of all, plant genetics. Obviously, that is the genetics of plants. Similarly, we have animal genetics, genetics of animals. Then human genetics, where we study the heredity of human traits, human disorders, betterment and correction of human disorders. Then we have microbial genetics, which deals with the genetics of microorganisms like viruses, bacteria, even unicellular plants and animals. Then we have viral genetics, where we study the genetics of various kinds of viruses. Then we have Mendelian genetics. It involves the study of heredity of both qualitative and quantitative traits and the influence of environment on their expression. Qualitative are monogenic, governed by single gene, and quantitative may be polygenic traits that are governed by multiple genes. There is another branch which just focuses on the quantitative traits. So that branch is called as quantitative genetics, which involves the study of heredity of quantitative traits such as height, weight, IQ in human beings and milk production in cattle, and so on and so forth. Then we have Morganian genetics after the scientist Morgan. It includes study of recombination or crossing over in all kinds of organisms such as higher plants, animals, fungi, bacteria and viruses. It also involves the preparation of linkage maps of the chromosomes. Then we have classical genetics, where technique and methodologies of genetics that predate the advent of molecular biology are used. So anything that occurred before the start of molecular biology, those techniques are used. Um, it involves the study of genetic linkage. So the observation that some genes do not segregate independently at meiosis broke the laws of Mendelian inheritance and provided science with a way to map characteristics to a location on the chromosomes. Another branches of non-Mendelian genetics, where we study the role of cytoplasm um, and its organelles in heredity. So organelles like chloroplasts and mitochondria also play a large role in heredity. Such studies come under the studies of non-Mendelian genetics. Then genetics involves the study of different kinds of mutations, both chromosomal changes involving structural and numerical aberrations, and also gene mutations. Then comes cytogenetics, which provides the cytological explanations of different genetic principles. Then you have molecular genetics, which includes the study of structure and function of genes and the regulation of their activities. Next is transmission genetics, which includes the study of the mode of gene transmission from generation to generation. Then we have biochemical genetics. It is the study of the fundamental relationship between genes, proteins, and metabolism. This involves the study of the causes of many specific kinds of heritable diseases. Then clinical genetics, the genetics which is involved in the detection of causes of diseases such as hemophilia, color blindness, diabetes, phenylketonuria. So all of those come under clinical genetics. Then the next one is immunogenetics. It deals with genetics of production of different types of antibodies. The diversity of antibodies has been found to be under the control of genetic regulation. Then we have behavioral genetics, which involves the interaction of genes with the environment to produce a particular pattern of behavior. So their study comes under behavioral genetics. Developmental genetics is the study of the process by which organisms grow and develop. Then we have conservation genetics, which is an interdisciplinary science that aims to apply genetic methods to conservation and restoration of biodiversity. We also have ecological genetics, which is the study of genetics of the natural populations in ecology. Then we have forward genetics and reverse genetics. During the last decade, term reverse genetics has been used for physical mapping and isolation of genes whose protein products are unknown. So if you do not know the protein products, then if we physically map and isolate the genes, that is called as reverse genetics. Then what is forward genetics? Where genes are mapped on the basis of their products, on the basis of the proteins that they produce. Next is metagenics. It is the practice of engineering organisms to create a specific enzyme, protein, or other biochemical from simpler starting materials. So if you need a particular kind of enzyme or protein, you can engineer the organisms to produce that particular enzyme and protein, and this all comes under the study of the field of metagenics. Next comes genetic engineering. It is the direct manipulation of an organism's genome using biotechnology. New DNA may be inserted in the host genome by first isolating and copying the genetic material of interest using molecular cloning methods to generate a DNA sequence, or even by synthesizing new DNA and then inserting this construct into the host organism. So this manipulation of an organism's genome is called as genetic engineering. Next is genomics, which is a discipline in genetics that applies recombinant DNA technology, DNA sequencing methods, and bioinformatics to sequence, assemble, and analyze the function, the structure of genomes. That is the complete set of DNA within a single cell of an organism. Then we have population genetics, which is also called as evolutionary genetics. It is the study of allele frequency distribution, how different alleles of particular genes are distributed in a population, and how they change under the influence of four main evolutionary processes, that is natural selection, genetic drift, mutation, and gene flow. It also takes into account factors like recombination, population subdivision, and population structure, and it attempts to explain phenomena such as adaptation and speciation which occur during evolution, during the evolutionary process. Then we have psychiatric genetics. It is a subfield of behavioral neurogenetics, and we study the role of genetics in psychological conditions such as alcoholism, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and autism. The basic principle behind it is of genetic polymorphisms, which are indicated by linkage. So, for example, a single nucleotide polymorphism, that is SNP, is a part of etiology of the psychiatric disorders, and these may pass from one generation to another. So, all of their study comes under psychiatric genetics. So that's all about introduction to genetics, which we covered in two presentations, the previous one and this presentation. These are the references that I consulted while making this presentation. Thank you.